Hi everyone. Oh, welcome to Junk Drawer Art with Miss Riley. I'm Miss Riley. It is something fun Sunday, so I wanted to try something that we haven't done yet and work on making beads today. Beads are always one of the things that kids really love working with in my classroom. So let's talk about beads for a minute. Beads have always been a form of decoration. They've been around since the beginnings of human civilization. People have been making beads, and they actually then, and for most of human history, they've been made out of natural materials. So beads could be carved out of wood, they could be carved out of animal bones or tusks. Ivory, elephant ivory was a big bead material. Natural materials like coral, rock, even softer rocks. I'm looking at my list I have so I don't forget anything. Oh yes, seeds and shells depending on where people lived. And beads were actually, interestingly, if you look at them historically, were one of the first things that humans like traded and bartered with were beads. And we don't have to use beads. We have money now, so we don't have to use beads to trade anymore. So not only have we kind of changed the way we handle them, now they're just used as decoration, as embellishment to make things look really beautiful in jewelry making, on clothing, on all kinds of design. But also beads are made a lot differently now. You might still see some beads made of wood that people have, but they've been made by a machine out of wood. They're not hand carved anymore. What made them so rare and so worth trading early on was every bead had to be made by hand, and they were really valuable, and they were something to be treasured and really taken care of. I tell my kids, a lot of Native American groups around us use beads in decoration, but they only use like just a few because they didn't have that many, and things have changed now. So now we have factories where beads are made. We can make beads out of metal and glass and pottery and plastic, and you can make millions of beads a day. So they're not so precious anymore, but they're still really beautiful. So today I want to show you guys how to make beads out of paper. So what I'm going to do, I have some tools here. I'm going to kind of show you what I'm working with, and then I am going to show you the process for doing this. What I have is a selection of paper. I do have crayons, and I'm probably, actually now that I'm thinking about it, not going to show you that today, but I just want to make sure that you know that when I say that you can make beads out of paper, you can literally make them out of any kind of paper. So you can color paper and cut it the way I'm going to show you to roll the beads if you just have white paper at home. If you have construction paper, you can cut construction paper. I'm going to show you how to do it with this extra little just strip I have. I probably wouldn't use it for anything else. It was from one of our earlier projects. And then I'm also going to show you how you can do it with a magazine page. So you can kind of use up those scraps of paper that you have around. So if you have other kinds of paper, you don't just have to use a whole sheet of white paper. You might want a ruler if you need help drawing lines. What you need to have, you need scissors for cutting, and you need things that you can roll your beads around. So some common objects, and also I have this glue here because it's going to seal it together. Pencils can be good if you want to make bigger beads, and chopsticks, or even toothpicks if you're making teeny tiny beads. But you need to think, because whatever you wrap your paper around, that is the width that your bead is going to be. So you need to think about what you want to do with it. If you're going to be stringing it on really thick yarn, you don't want to use a toothpick to make these beads because the hole will be too small. If you want to make big chunky beads, you might want to use a pencil, something that's wider. Think about the diameter of the circular, but it needs to be round is the big thing. So let's get started. Let's practice with this paper first. I'm going to show you the process. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of get like a rectangle shape out of it. So I'm going to cut these little odd ends off. They just make things confusing. And this is probably going to be too long for me to start with to show you, so I'm also going to cut it in half. A rectangle is a good shape to start with because I'm going to show you how we're actually going to cut this. You want your bead paper to be in a very skinny triangle. The widest part of your paper is how wide your bead is going to be. So what I'm going to do is kind of start at the bottom. I want my bead to be pretty big so you can see it this time. and you want to cut up to make a very skinny, tall triangle. What you're aiming for is kind of what we call, I'm not a math professional here, but an isosceles triangle. So a triangle that these two sides are about the same and one side is smaller or different. And in this case, it needs to be much shorter. So you're looking for a really skinny triangle. And so what I can do now is take my object that I'm going to wrap around. Let me do the pencil. It's a little thicker and you're going to be able to see it a little bit better. It's a free pencil I got from Publix. So what I'm going to do is actually take the base of my bead, this is going to be my widest part, and secure it with one finger. And I'm actually going to start wrapping. This is why it needs to be long, because if you only do it short, it's only going to go around that long, and it's only going to go around maybe twice, and it really won't have time to build up a nice thick layer. So I'm going to keep turning it, and you notice I'm turning the paper. At this point, I'm turning the pencil, not so much the paper. It gets a little easier. So when I get to the end, what I'm actually going to do here, once I get to my little point, is I'm going to take a little dab of glue, teeny little dab. Let me get really close so you can see. And I'm just going to kind of put it here at the end. It might get a little messy. That's okay. Oh, and my glue isn't coming out. It's the worst time. There we go. Just a teeny little dab. Let me show you that. See that little dab right there? And I'm just going to tuck it. I'm rolling it as tight as I can to make it strong. And I'm going to tuck it right there. See my little glue blob? It came out a little bit. That's okay. I can kind of wipe what's left with my finger away, and I'm just going to hold it for a minute and let it sit. The tighter you wind them, the stronger the beads will be. If you wind them really loose, it's easier for them to come apart. They'll kind of unravel. And then when you're done and you've held it and you think it's kind of secured and in place, you can pull it off the end. Oh, you're over here. You can kind of pull it right off the end, and you have a cool little bead that you can string along. So you can make tons of these, enough to cover a whole necklace, a whole keychain. Let me show you with magazines, kind of the same idea. So that was just with a little scrap piece of paper. Let's do a magazine and a chopstick. So magazines or junk mail, catalogs are another good thing to do this with. This is a magazine. It is Country Magazine, and I chose this one because it has a lot of like big pages with flowers on it, just like this. Ooh, this one's gonna be really nice. Oh, perfect. It doesn't take much to get me excited. So I have this really pretty, these are just some gorgeous colors. These are gonna make some really lovely beads. So like I showed you earlier, leave it as a rectangle because it's gonna kind of guide your cutting of your triangle. I want it to be about this wide. So I'm just gonna keep cutting and getting closer and closer to that corner. So I end up, like I said, the taller your triangle is, the stronger your bead will be because it will have more layers to wrap around it. So I'm gonna grab my chopstick here. And I usually have to hold it with my thumb when I start wrapping it, just like I did last time. And every so often I stop and kind of pull and make sure it's tight. So I'm just gonna start rolling. Oops, see, it flipped up on me. You kind of have to find what's most comfortable for you. If you like to hold it up or lay it out on the table. There we go. Once you get it started, then the rolling comes. It comes easy. You can keep going, going, going. You might have to kind of stop and kind of correct it a little bit. Slide it over. And then once you hit a certain point, you can kind of just start holding this and twirling. It starts to get really fast. This is kind of like weaving. I mentioned on Thursday, it's just a nice way to keep your hands busy, but it doesn't require a lot of thought. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue hold that tip down on it, push the extra away. Oh, just hold it for a minute and see this bead over here, he's still holding together really nice. I always, before I string them on, let them sit out and dry. Let them sit out and dry for a couple hours. Give them time to make sure nothing's popping up on them. If you have Mod Podge or something similar to that, you can paint a layer of that over these and it makes them a little more durable. Or if you have like a spray, like a clear coating kind of spray paint or something, you can spray over these and it makes them a little more durable, but they're just fine like these paper beads. Obviously you can't get them wet, but. All right, so I got this guy rolled tight. Ooh, he's kind of stuck. Let's pull. This one might be a little stuck. I might have done it too hard. This might be a lesson for you guys and what not to do. I might have to pull. There we go. It came off the other end. So don't roll too tight or it might get stuck. So you can see that looks really cool. Just a really beautiful little paper bead. It's perfectly free. All you need is a dab of glue and something to roll it around. So I hope today you can have fun making paper beads. What can you do with them when you're done? Bracelets, necklaces, keychains, hair accessories. Really is an endless amount of things. You can take one of the weaving projects that I've done and add some beads to that. Just a lot of really fun and crazy things you can do with them. So I hope you've enjoyed Something Fun Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. John and I will be back. We're going to show you a resource we found online that he loves where you can design your own Lego minifigure. It's a printable sheet you can color. So stay tuned for that. I will see you guys tomorrow. Please send me pictures of your paper beads. You can send them to me on Dojo if you are an Oakhurst student. You can send them to me on Facebook if you're my friend, or Instagram or Twitter at CS Riley Teach. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend. Bye.